Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started because we know some of you have to get out to work. We're going to start today off with a prize. I know it's early, so this is a gift certificate to Bagels Plus. Who can tell me who the president and general manager of Cranmore is? I don't know who said that. You're behind the column, Joe. All right, I'll bring this back to you. All right, so we are recording it for any employees that are unable to attend today, so please be aware that there's a camera in the back. Please silence your cell phones so that that's not interrupting the presentation. Bathrooms are out the door and to the left, and we're going to try and get this completed so that you can get out in time to start your day. And we're going to kick things off with Ben Wilcox, President and General Manager.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody and thrilled to be in the summer season here. This is our 15th continuous summer season here with our kind of new format for summer operations. I know a lot of you in the room, but summer is a real special thing for me because I actually started my career in the ski industry way back in the late 70s, early 80s with Attitash. I worked on the Alpine Slide as a summer job, and that was my first job at a ski area. And so working in the summer was my introduction to the ski business, and I've been in it ever since, working in the ski side, working in the summer side. Went to Kennett High School, so I'm a local, and I know a lot of our management staff is local as well. So it's just hopefully this is going to be a fun summer for everybody here. That was a super fun thing for me, and I had so much fun. I'm still in the business and enjoying the resort business. So welcome again. So I think this is my little clicker here. What's Cranmore all about? I know I see a lot of familiar faces in the room, which is makes me happy because it means a lot of people come back year after year, and that's a good thing. But we're owned by a group called the Fairbank Group, and they're an ownership group in the Berkshires of Massachusetts. So they're right down about 4 hours from here, and I always am very proud of the fact that our ownership group is a New England-based group of individuals, and it's a family. So we're a family-run business. They operate Jiminy Peak Mountain Resort, which has a very similar assortment of summer operations similar to what we have. Bromley as well, Bromley in southern Vermont. How many people have been to Jiminy Peak? Anybody? A couple hands. How many people have been to Bromley? Okay. So those are our sister resorts. And again, they have very similar offerings to us in the summer. And the nice thing about being part of these three mountains is we're all medium-sized family resorts that offer very similar products. And so there's a lot of dialogue going back and forth to get best practices and other things. So a couple other companies at the Fairbank Group. It's Brian and Tyler Fairbank, their father-son team that are basically in charge of the resort. Their overall mission to be the most admired, respected, and enjoyed mountain resorts in America. When I first met them in 2010 when they bought Cranmore, I said, boy, that's kind of bold. But they were the first ski area to put a wind turbine in and a solar farm, and they're 100% off the grid electrically down in Massachusetts. So they've done some extremely innovative things as resort operators, which really get them into that, meeting that mission. They also, once they did the wind turbine, they opened an environmental consulting business to help with wind and turbine projects throughout New England, and they're involved with that to some degree. They also have an educational company called Bull Wheel Productions that does education for lift training and a number of other ski industry things, and Snow Gun Technologies. A lot of our snow guns here were actually designed by Brian Fairbank himself, working with an engineer down at Jiminy Peak, because he's just totally into snowmaking. So they're ski people, they're summer attractions people, and it makes it really fun to work with them and for them because they get it. They knew who we are. They were just here 2 weeks ago to tour around as well. So very hands-on managers. Oop, wrong way. I'll quickly touch on these things, but these things are important. Probably a little bit more in our day-to-day as a management team, but our mission to provide positive, memorable mountain resort experiences with outstanding, friendly, and helpful service and remarkable, beautiful surroundings, inspiring guests to return again and again. Boy, does that sound inspiring. But again, just think about the word experiences, because if you've been to this orientation, again, I'm a little bit of a broken record on this, but people come here because they're on vacation. They spend all year working. Their families are all in 12 directions. And when they come here, they're all together and they have time together. And what are they doing? They're putting themselves in your hands to say, can you offer me a great experience with my family? And I always have this vision of people having a picture of their family together at Cranmore on their mantle all year round, thinking of the great times they've had. So think about that when you're greeting guests. It is all about the experience they have. And they want to know who you are too. So feel free to engage with the guests as much as you are comfortable with. Our vision to be the mountain of choice in New England. We used to have a vision of be the mountain of choice in New Hampshire and Maine, and we've kind of expanded that a little bit more because we really want to be known as a place where people will say, where should we take the family for the summer? For a vacation. Let's go up to North Conway. Let's go to the Mount Washington Valley. Let's go make sure we visit Cranmore. So that's one of our vision statements. And then core values, these real quickly, these are the things that we follow when we're doing our business planning and everything to do with creating Cranmore as a business. So showing you a little bit under the hood of what we do and how we operate. And like I said, I started on the Alpine Slide at Attitash, and now I'm the president and general manager of Cranmore. And you know, it's possible for anybody in this room that wants to take that on. I'll talk to you about it. But it's got a lot of good, but it's just a great environment, and that's why I'm still heavily involved with it. But core values: relentlessly improving guest experience, giving back to the community. I grew up in this community. Our whole management staff grew up in the community. It's extremely important to give back. We just had the Kennett Prom here. How many Kennett High School people do we have in the room? All right. So we also, I believe, Kelly recently made a commitment to multi-years, maybe, for the prom. So we're doing a lot with the community, and that's extremely important. You'll see that through our events and things like that. Fostering people relationships. It's about you guys meeting each other, having friends. I still have friends from the Alpine Slide, believe it or not, that I worked with, that I stay in touch with because of the great summer I had working at a mountain resort. Sustainable reinvestment and growth. One of the nice things about the Fairbanks is every time we have a good season and do well, they say, Ben, what can we reinvest and put back in the mountains? So way back when I started with the company, we were owned by a group out of California, great people. But every time we made money, a lot of times it went out to support one of the Western resorts. So in this case, it all comes back to Cranmore, so it's really positive. Passion for beauty, trying to make things look even better every year as we continue to dress up the resort and improve it for years to come. And then obsessed with safety. And I should have started with that because that's paramount number one for everybody. We want you to be safe. We want the guests to be safe. If you see anything, you're the first eyes that can catch something if we see an unsafe situation. So please speak up if you see something. So those are the core values. Real quickly, I think a lot of you know this team, but this is our management team at Cranmore. A lot of times, again, at other mountains, they've consolidated things and moved things out west or done things, become very corporate. We still run our entire company operations right here in North Conway. We've got Mike Rennie, who's right over here, our Director of Food and Beverage. We have Kelly Hunt right here, who's in charge of our sales and events programs here. Jen Clark is our Director of Finance. Amy Morell, who kicked things off here, our HR Director. Karen Dolan, I know, is right over here, just finished year 50 working at Cranmore. So while I was on the Alpine Slide, I think you were here, Karen, working. Brantley Luddington, our Director of Mountain Operations, right over here. Becca Deschaines, our Director of Marketing, right here. And then Tricia Garcia, our Resort Operations Director, right here to the right. of me, and Jay Gilmet, our newest member of the team, who's in charge of all our property management here at the property and facilities. So that's your management team. You'll see us out and about. If any of us can do anything to support you or help you, please feel free to jump in front of one of us. Real quickly, summer operations as we're running our day-to-day. Your Director of Resort Operation, Trish Garcia, right here, is in charge of our summer operations. Dan Robbins is our summer operations manager. Is Dan here? Nope, Dan's not here. Okay. So Greg Ludvigsen, who is our rental and repair shop. Greg, are you here? None of them are here. Here. Lindsay, okay. Sean Waters is our mountain bike park manager. Is Yolande here? There's Yolande. I know Yolande's here. Is our resort services assistant manager. Lindsay Smith, our mountain adventure park manager. I see Lindsay right there. Are you here? All right. Al Doobie is our lift operations manager. And we've got Holly in rentals as well, right over here, who works with Greg. Tom Harmon, the mountain bike lead. I saw Tom in the back there in mountain bike lead. And Andy Tilton, our lift operations assistant manager. So again, other than that other group you saw, these are our other leadership key people in the summer. So I just wanted to point that out. And like I said, really super proud to see a lot of these faces are people that are local that came up through the ranks here at the mountain, and it's super exciting to continue to promote and encourage growth with all our staff. So I think that's my last slide. And hey, welcome everybody. Look forward to seeing everybody a lot. The busy 2 summer months are coming right up. So thank you again. Great to see you. Here's Becca DeShanes.
Thank you, Ben. How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? My name's Becca DeShane. I'm the marketing director here at the Mountain. And I just finished my 20th year here. So when Ben says there's a lot of history with the staff, he's not lying. I started with Karen in high school as a ski instructor. So I'm going to go over kind of what our summer operation looks like this morning, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kelly, who's going to talk about some of the new events that we have going on this year. So, wrong button. Oh. Okay, so what our summer operations looks like, really, we kind of look at it split into 4 different groups. So we have our Mountain Adventure Park, our Cranmore Bike Park, and our rentals options, scenic chairlift rides, and our events. So first off, Mountain Adventure Park. How many folks in here are Mountain Adventure Park employees? A little bit, nice, right in the middle, centralized. So our Mountain Adventure Park, we offer that in a full day and a last blast admission. So full day is 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Last blast is 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. And over there, we've really done, when we are looking at different attractions, we want to make sure that there's something for everybody over there to take advantage of and really centralize that as being a family-friendly attraction. So we have our mountain coaster, our Soaring Eagle zip line ride, a giant swing, climbing wall, inflatable obstacle course, a spider mountain climb, bungee trampoline, bounce house, and then this year we added a new inflatable ninja warrior course, and also a new kids play area, which is really designed for the super little kids that aren't really, they can't ride on the other bigger attractions. So we think that's going to be very popular. And that's a swing set and a sandbox, which sand is, simple and easy and very popular with little kids. So with our Mountain Adventure Park, we want to encourage guests to purchase online in advance. So we do offer an online discount for those guests who do so at least 24 hours before arriving to the park. And again, that's just an offering them an incentive to make that pre-purchase. On Wednesdays and Saturdays, starting next week in July and August, we extend our Mountain Adventure Park operations with Après Adventure, and we are open from 5 to 8 p.m. That's a separate ticket, and during that time, we operate the mountain coaster, the Soaring Eagle zip line, and the giant swing. So that's a program we started this will be our 3rd year doing that program, and we're continuing to watch that grow each year and make adjustments to make that work the best that it can. So, and before I switch to the next slide, during our shoulder season, so we're talking spring and fall, pre-Memorial Day, post-Labor Day, our Mountain Adventure Park ticket option looks a little bit different. It's sold in 2-hour time blocks, and that is limited to just what we call the hard three. So the mountain coaster, the Soaring Eagle zip line, the giant swing, and the scenic chairlift. So our bike park, do we have any bike park employees in the room? A few in the back corner, some in the front. All right, so we have 6 miles of terrain, 11 trails plus a skills park area that's located on the north side of the mountain. Last year, we did open a climbing trail that starts at the top of the south chairlift, which is this one right behind me, and it climbs over to the north side to a trail network that's run by Ride NoCo. Those are not it's technically on our trails. It's not something that we maintain, so we make it very clear that any riders that are going over there are leaving Cranmore property. But that was something that we added to really kind of appeal to the more advanced rider. Our trails here, we have a mix of flow trails, and those, if you want to think of a bowling alley, super smooth, super, free of things. Sorry. Free of things. And then we have our more technical terrain, which is our hand-built trails, which have the things, so rocks and roots and obstacles for our riders to go down. So again, we really tried to make it, oh goodness, appeal to riders of all ages and ability levels, as long as they're comfortable riding a bike. So our bike park tickets are sold in a full day admission and after 1. And again, we offer a $5 discount with online purchases for that product. And the bike park is open Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 5. During our core summer season, it's closed Monday, Tuesday. And then during the spring and fall, 10 to 4. So our scenic chairlift. Do we have any chairlift folks in the room? A few. Trying to get you guys engaged here. You're doing good. So we're trying to we want to script the scenic chairlift as a must-do while folks are here at the mountain. Scenic chairlift rides are included in the Mountain Adventure Park admission. They're included in a bike park admission without the bike. So foot traffic only. And then we also sell it as a ticket, a standalone ticket. So up there we have our Summit Meister Hut restaurant. Where Mike has done a great job kind of revamping that menu. There's a new après-themed menu up there with some snacks, some heavier lunch options. We have ice cream and craft beer and wine, and new this summer, frozen hot chocolate, which tastes just like the real thing, and there's an adult and kid-friendly option for that. So again, that's something that we're trying to encourage guests to go up there, grab a bite to eat, cool down, take a break, take in the scenery. On a clear day like today, it's gorgeous up there. If you haven't been up there, highly encourage you to go check it out. We also have a hiking path that goes around the summit. Our sustainability committee that we have here at the mountain has done a great job identifying like key areas on that path and different nature and viewpoints there. And then there's also a hiking path that gives access to Black Cat Mountain, which is behind us, which is about a mile path over there that traverses over to that peak. It's a little longer than what we have here, but again, for folks looking for something to do up there. Scenic Chairlift Ride is open daily during our core hours of operation. It does close a half an hour before we close, just to give enough time for all of our staff to come down. And in the shoulder seasons, operates weekends and holidays only, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. in the spring, and then until 3 p.m. in the fall, so we can work around some weddings that we have here. So with our bike park, we do offer bike rentals. We have a full suspension mountain bike options. We have recreational bikes and helmets and gear. So when we're talking rec bikes, we are located right at the end of the North Conway or Mount Washington Valley Rec Path, which is a paved 2.9-mile path that runs from here to Walmart, that runs alongside the North-South Road. Awesome amenity for guests here at the mountain, for guests staying on property at the Marriott over here, and guests looking for something fun and a little bit easier to do with their family on that path. So we wanted to make it convenient and have rentals available right on property where they don't have to, rent downtown and then put their bikes in the car and then drive here. They can come here, rent, and head right out. So we have a resort app. It's, excuse me. We launched this app last winter, and it is primarily a winter app, but in the summer we do have a summer version. And we want our bike park folks to use this. It has our trail map. It connects to a leaderboard in Strava, so our bikers can, get on the leaderboard and see how they're doing to other riders there. It also links to our webcams and weather. You're able to purchase tickets, and then we're also able to do push notifications and use that as an additional communication channel to those folks as well. I'm going to bring up Kelly Hunt, who's our Director of Sales and Events, and she's going to talk about some of the new events that we have going on and some of our functions. Take it away.
Thanks, Becca. Good morning. My name is Kelly Hunt. I'm the Sales and Events Director here. Welcome to Cranmore if this is your first season, and welcome back to Cranmore if you've been here for years. I get the really fun job of being part of the events team, which is one of our fastest growing areas here at the mountain. We've done a lot of events in the past, both on the branded side as well as weddings and functions. However, with this building, we've really been able to expand that area of our business dramatically in just a very short time. We look at events in two different ways: our community and our branded events that support people coming to the resort, and most of them being free, and then also functions and weddings would focus on outside folks coming here to Cranmore to host their private event here. So we're going to talk about both. We've got a few new events for the summer that you may not have seen last year. This is the third year of our Smoke on the Mountains Summit Barbecue. We found a lot of success in that event and are expanding on it this year to offer an Aloha at the summit, which is a Hawaiian-themed meal. Just yesterday, Mike Rennie ordered his pig. That's just going to slow roast, with the apple in the mouth. So we're really excited about that. Those summit dinner series are super unique to Cranmore because we're one of the few places in the Mount Washington Valley that can serve dinner on the top of a mountain. So we really capitalize on that area. We are excited to introduce on July 13th our first Bike Fest. This is in partnership with our friends over at NEMBA as well as some of the local bike shops. This is a really simple event: barbecue, live music, and some bike vendors for people to test out new gear, shop for new gear, or maybe even learn better how to tune and care for their bike. So that's all going to happen right out back here on the Fairbank Lodge patio and in that grassy area, and is really a way for us to embrace some of the bike folks in partnership with our friends over at NEMBA. Our themed parties all take place on Saturday evenings at the exact same time as Après Adventure, like Becca just talked about. And that's just an added value for somebody who's coming in on that Saturday night. A little bit of a party, a little bit of fun to entertain themselves and their kids. And then finally, we'll see DJ Corey Jens, who if you might have heard of around town. He does trivia over at Tuckerman's a bunch. He'll be doing trivia on the patio here as well this summer as a new event. Returning this year is some of our favorite events that you've probably seen for a very, very long time. Just this week, we had the Schools Out for Summer, which offered free bike park or mountain adventure park admission to local students. Friday Night Vertical Series is in partnership with our friends at the White Mountain Skiing Company, and they just run up the mountain. It's not for me, but it's for a lot of people. Summer Wednesdays is one of our favorite things. So last year we launched Summer Wednesdays, which once again coincide with that Après Adventure on Wednesdays, as well as our Mini Meisters Bike Race Series. And that's right here on the Fairbank Lodge patio. We have live music. That's in partnership with our friends at Tuckerman's Brewery. So they're here doing giveaways, and then brewery pricing on their beer items and live music. What's great is that this patio is beautifully shaded in the afternoon, so it's nice and cool and a great place for folks to hang out and enjoy some time with their friends and family. We also have, Cranmore has really prioritized making sure that we are opening our doors and being the home for community events to do their own fundraisers or advocacy for their own work. Bike for Books and Jen's Friends Hill Climb are two of those organizations, among others. They will come in, Bike for Books will be here in July and Jen's Friends in September, and those are events that really allow Cranmore to open its doors to the community and support those organizations. And last but not least, our Heyday Fall Festival is now in its third year and is a lot of fun. We've got fall-themed games. We typically have vendors and live music. Once again, you're going to get a theme all on the Fairbank Lodge patio. And that's a great fall fest that is very family-driven and focused on some of those fun things for kids. As I alluded to, this building has really opened up a huge opportunity for us here to introduce ourselves into the functions in the wedding business. This year, we have over doubled the number of weddings that we're going to host. Last year, we hosted 5 weddings in 2024. This year, we'll host 11. It's a very unique mix of micro weddings as well as weddings that are upwards of 150 to 175 people. It's incredible to see this space transform to match the couple's vision and see it come to life. And it's a really great opportunity for Cranmore to be part of starting that memory for that family. We have also been able to open our doors to a couple conferences. This is our second year that we've hosted the Ski New Hampshire Conference, which brings in all of our partners from across the state as well as vendors to Cranmore. We had about 420 guests here in June over the course of 3 days, learning from each other, meeting each other, hearing from vendors, and it's really a great community feel for the whole ski industry in the state of New Hampshire. We also opened our doors to the Rotary Conference, which was the regional conference. The region spans from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, all the way into Canada. So we had a wide range of people here at the resort to gather with similar interests. And then Revel Race was really exciting to host. They did that half marathon and marathon that went down the Kank on a Sunday morning. We welcomed about 4,000 to 5,000 people into this building that day for bib pickup, to hang out, to get energized for the race, learn about the course. This was their expo location and was incredible how this space got transformed to fit their needs. And then, as Ben mentioned, we had prom, which was so fun. Very exciting to see kids celebrating and letting loose here at Cranmore. So we've got a lot of different events going on. Your manager is going to be able to help you throughout the season. If you have any questions about our events or what the schedules are, we put out every week a function sheet which has all of the details. So if you ever have any questions about maybe what's going on or how you can best advise a guest, please don't hesitate to look at those function sheets or ask a manager. And then myself and my team are always available.
Morning, guys. I'm Brantley Luddington. I'm the Director of Mountain Operations and also the safety chair of our committee. We also have 2 co-chairs, or 1 co-chair really, and then a senior administrator, we'll call her, Amy Morrell. And Dan Robbins is our co-chair. That'll come into play here in a few minutes. But we're going to talk about safety. What I'm going to cover is very top-line stuff. You're probably going to get into a little bit more of your departmental safety stuff when you do your departmental trainings if you haven't done so already. But this is going to kind of give you the broader out view of some of our procedures, policies, and stuff like that for the resort as far as safety goes. So. First thing we're going to touch on is the security. 2 big things here. The first one, biggest one is threats or harassment or anything like that here at the workplace. We have a very zero tolerance policy on that. Harassments, threats, violence especially, that is absolutely dismissible. And if you're experiencing any of that, please see one of your managers. If any one of us on the leadership team, we're here to help you, but it's very, very important. It's a very serious topic, and you want to be able to come to work and feel safe. And that's our responsibility, and we want to make sure that you are doing that. As far as personal property goes, lock your vehicle out when you're over in the parking lot. You're over here at the resort for hours of the day, and you're not going to be able to keep track of them. So make sure that you secure your gear. It's stowed away. We don't know who is here on property and are walking around in our parking lots. We have a lot of people come through. So make sure that anything that you have that's of value, it's probably best just to leave it at home unless you need it throughout the day or after work. If you see anything suspicious, talk to your manager, call your lead, or again, anybody on the leadership team here so that we can take care of it. Summer hazards. A little bit different than winter, obviously, for those of you who have been here for the winter. These are some of the things that we come in contact with for the summer. This is guests and employees, so things to watch out for. Heat stroke and exhaustion, especially these last few days. It's been triple-digit days, 100 degrees. Stay hydrated, try to take breaks, stay in the shade as much as possible. But also keep an eye out for our guests. If they're not looking too great, they're really pale, they haven't drank water, send them over to first aid, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. Really, any of these that you see, allergic reactions, bee stings, we do work outside. There are insects. If somebody gets stung or you get stung, we're going to go to base first aid. They're going to be able to help you out, and I'll tell you where that is here in a second. Splinters, cuts, scrapes, some of the more serious stuff, spinal injuries. Again, we're an outdoor and recreation business. There is some risk associated with it, and we just want to make sure that we're trying to keep our guests and you guys as staff as safe as possible. Weather-related injuries, that could be hypothermia. We have a lot of bikers that may not be in the park, but off on the northern side of the mountain for our Ride No-Co trails. These are some things that we want to keep out for. So, our first aid, these are just kind of two of the categories here as far as sending somebody over or calling for help. Bee stings, insect bites, sunburns, headaches, cuts, scrapes, stuff like that. If they're ambulatory, they're able to move, they're okay, they're talking, they're fine. There's a first aid station over at the bottom of tubing in the Mountain Adventure Park area, and then there's also first aid on our newer building on the Lookout on the northern side of the property, which is closer to the Ski Mobile Express, the high-speed quad. First aid is here. They're a great group of people, super knowledgeable, super professional. They really do care about our guests. And then to call for help if there's any neck or back injuries, loss of consciousness especially, if inability to walk, so non-ambulatory, or if they're severely bleeding. So as we're segueing here as to how to get a hold of patrol for an injured guest, there are essentially two ways unless you see them in person. The first one is going to be calling 5299, which is the dispatch number that's going to ring at the top of the south for them, or over in BFA, depending on where they have that phone forwarded to, or calling over the radio. Patrol is on channel 2 if you have a radio. If you don't have a radio, get a hold of your supervisor, flag them over. Your supervisor will be able to call for help if you need it. If you're calling for help, there's some things you're going to need to tell them. You're going to have to give them their age, gender, the chief complaint. So what's wrong? Did they hurt their knee? Did they have a head injury? Are they bleeding? The more info that you can give patrol before they get on the scene, the better, so that they're coming prepared. Also very important, the location of where you are. If they don't know where the patient is, they're not going to be able to come help. And then if they have any instructions that they're giving to you while you're with a patient, make sure you follow them. And then obviously notify your supervisor, keep your supervisor in the loop. What to do if you're injured on the job. So hopefully this never happens. If it does, we have a procedure. These are kind of in steps here, but the very first thing you're going to do is fill out what we call a purple form or a first report. And this could be from anything, as casual as a splinter or a small cut to something more serious. And we want you to fill out these forms for anything that you get hurt for, because it creates a paper trail for us to be able to help with insurance if you have to go to the walk-in or the ER. A splinter maybe doesn't seem too serious, but if it's pressure treated and it gets infected, you're going to want to get help for that. So it's very important if you have any sort of injury, whether, again, splinter, cut, you twist your knee, tell your supervisor. They'll help you fill it out, or the guys in patrol will help you fill it out. But very important, and then that goes to Amy and the gals over at HR. And then if you go to the walk-in, you're going to need to tell your supervisor so that they can tell HR to give them a heads up. That's also very important. One thing that we don't want is if you get an injury at work and then that night you go home and then you just go to the doctors, we're not going to be able to notify them that you're on your way. You may end up holding the bag for that. So very important. Let your supervisor know, let HR know. For more advanced stuff, if something happens that's going to put you out of work, there's also some paperwork that goes along with that. If you're cleared to return to work, you're going to have to bring a note back with you. But any other doctor's notes that have to do with a work injury, again, is going to go over to HR. The gist of this is that if you're injured at work, the most important thing here, besides you getting better, is the communication between us and you to make sure that you're taken care of and that you're doing okay, and to make sure that everything on the medical side, as far as the doctor's office and the paperwork, is taken care of as well. Lightning, as kind of mentioned earlier, throughout the summer, we have some storms that roll through. We have procedures for this. If you hear thunder or you see lightning, call your supervisor. The MOD, which is the manager on duty, is essentially running the show, especially when there's lightning in the area and going through all these procedures. If there's lightning that's within a 10-mile radius, we go on a standby. And essentially what that means is that if you're at a traction or at a lift or anything that's out there, outside, especially mechanically or electrically driven, we're going to close for a period of time. Throughout that period of time, if we do go on a lightning hold and we want to try to get guests inside, so if you're over at in the Mountain Adventure Park, you're going to be going in with the guests inside the lodge. Stay with them, keep them up to date. One thing that's really important is that when guests, if we've closed an attraction to go on standby for lightning, is to keep them in the loop so that they know what's going on. When we do go on standby, you're going to hear 3 air horn blasts, and that essentially means to clear the park, shut down your ride. It's very important, though, to wait until you have the confirmation from your supervisor before doing so. If you're at a lift attraction, you're going to stop loading guests, and like I said, you're going to escort them inside and then keep them in the loop and communicate with them. Let them know what's going on, why we're doing this. Again, these are our guests who, as Ben had said earlier, they're here to have a fun time, have a good day. If a storm rolls through like it does and we have to put their fun day on hold, we want to make sure that we're just keeping them in the loop of why we're doing that. So, if there's a fire or a fire alarm, we have some procedures as well. The first thing you're going to do if you hear a fire alarm or if you see a fire is you're going to get away from it, calmly evacuate the area, and then also direct guests to the nearest rally point. And as you kind of saw, there's a map here which shows you where the rally points are for the resort. You're also obviously going to notify your supervisor. It's a bad day if something catches on fire and you just don't tell your supervisor. We like to know about these things, so please tell us. When you get to the rally point, you're going to stay with the guests. Again, similar to the lightning, keep them in the loop. We want to keep them in one area, especially if there is a building fire or a lift on fire. The fire department's going to be here. We want to make sure that we have their area of operation clear and that they can work and not have to worry about guests in the way or us in the way. If it's just a fire alarm, we're going to wait until you get the all clear to come back into the building. Some of these buildings, actually all of them, are looped in also for carbon monoxide, which there may not be an immediate threat or a fire that you can see, but if there's a gas leak in the building or something like that, the fire department's going to come through. Once they've given the all clear, then we can come back inside, but we're not going to go back in until they've given it to us. So as I kind of mentioned, we have some rally points here if there's a fire and evacuation. Now I can use my laser pointer. So the most important ones here, since we're in summer operations, are these two right here. So if you're over in the Mountain Adventure Park or the Alpine Lodge over here, the coaster, the swing, the bottom of the South, this parking lot right here, lot number 1, is where you're going to go. And that's the parking lot where if you're going towards the Fairfield and the Mountain Adventure Park over here, that driveway, it's on the right-hand side. It's where the rec path is, where it starts. Everybody's going to go there if you're over in this area. If you're over here in the main base area, which is the Fairbank Lodge, the rentals, tickets, if you're at the bottom of the quad, you're going to be going to the footbridge, which is right here. And that's right on our big dirt parking lot here. There's a footbridge that connects it from the paved area here. If something happens, those are the two main areas for summer. Our other two, since they're on the north side of the property and they're not really used a lot in the summer, except for maybe some admin stuff, are the race training center and the kids center. And if anything happens in either one of those, you're just going to go to the opposite building. But this is really important. The safety committee goes around and does a fire drill once a summer, and essentially what that is they'll come up, they'll have a questionnaire, they may ask you some of these questions. One of them is, where's your rally point? It's very important to it now. Another thing that's common that happens is sometimes we have a child that gets separated from their parents if they're on the bike park, or a parent that's maybe wandered off. They thought their kid was doing something and they go off to the car. If there's a missing child or a missing person, these are the things we're going to do. This also could be gone into a little bit more depth with your department, but these are the most important things. So the first thing you're going to do is if somebody approaches you and says, hey, I don't know where my kid is, or I don't know where my mom and dad went, you're going to call dispatch. So that's on channel 2, or you're going to call their phone number at 5299. When you talk to them, these are the most important things that you can give them for information, and they may ask you some more things. So that's who's missing, so their full name and who they are, whether it's mom, dad, or a child, their age, their sex, what were they wearing, how long they've been missing, were they with anyone else when they went missing, or were they by themselves, were they supposed to meet somewhere and what time, and is there a common meeting area, such as we're all going to meet at the car at the end of the day, or we're going to meet in front of the ticket office. When you're with them, get their cell number so that if we do find the child, we can give them a call. Or if there's, dad is hurt and mom is walking around with the child trying to find dad, we can call mom and say, hey, meet us over in base first aid. Like I said, patrol may have more questions on your call, so just answer them and have the guest remain calm and stay in one place. Because as we have somebody missing, we don't want to have to go try to find somebody else that's missing. So if they stay in one place, it's really easy to find them. And our next presenter here is Tricia. She's going to be talking about the Mount Adventure Park.
Good morning, guys. I'm probably a familiar face for most of you already, but like Ben and Brantley and a couple other people have mentioned, I'm the Resort Operations Director. And we're gonna jump right into it. But yes, the Ninja Inflatable Obstacle Course was something that we added. One thing that we added, which is we're very excited about, we get excited about the little things, but this is a little thing that makes quite a large impact, especially for you guys that are out there working in the field. So we added what is lovingly referred to as the bus stop to the Soaring Eagle platform. That particular attraction, as the employees know that have been here for a few years, the sun gets pretty intense on that particular attraction, and we've been trying to find ways to, alleviate that didn't interfere with the ride. So Rick, our lift and vehicle head of maintenance, he built that for us, and I think so far it's doing a pretty good job. I've seen a lot of you guys utilize it, which is fantastic. So that is one change that you'll notice. And then, of course, the new attractions over at the Mount Adventure Park. We did take out summer tubing. That kind of fulfilled its lifetime. I think we've had that. Ben said that we've been in summer operation for 15 years. We've had summer tubing for 15 years. So that kind of just lived its lifespan. So we did end up taking that out. The reason that we went to these particular things is with the summer tubing, we kind of lost the little kids because that was something that they were able to do, but because of ride restrictions and such, there's not a lot for them to do. So we added the swing set and the sandbox to kind of help bridge that gap that we lost with summer tubing. So a big part of my presentation is going to be a guest experience, and it all starts with you guys. Every single one of you in this room contributes to the overall guest experience. And it doesn't matter if you're frontline, back of the house, every single person contributes to this. So the overall goal is to create safe, friendly, unforgettable guest experience. And, excuse me. So everything that we do contributes to this overall goal. And we're just gonna kind of talk about what that looks like. This is just gonna be very top line because we're kind of limited on time. For those of you that are working in the Mountain Adventure Park, we're going to spend some quality time together doing a deep dive into this on Saturday morning. So some repetitiveness, but it's good for you guys. So like I said, overall goal to create safe, friendly, and unforgettable guest experience. So what could that potentially look like? So first and foremost, first impressions matter. Guests make, not an assumption, but guests form an impression as soon as they get here. So certain things, and it's all small stuff that contribute to the overall impression. So things like smile and greet the guest, and eye contact. There's a 10-foot, 5-foot rule. Within 10 feet, smile, eye contact. Within 5 feet, just a warm greeting. How are you today? Just very small, simple stuff that contribute to the overall guest experience, so the guest knows that we're present, we're here, and we're here to help. Uniform, I'm not going to dive too deeply into this one because Amy's going to cover that later of what that looks like. But uniform is an important component. Having a neat, tidy name tag, neat, tidy uniform with a name tag just makes us look professional, and it makes you look approachable. So the overall uniform is a component to the overall guest experience. You'll probably notice that there's a lot of tie-ins to, what Amy's going to be talking about, what Brantley talked about with safety, what Kelly and Becca talked about with events and offerings. It all ties together into the overall guest experience. Be engaged. Pay attention to the guest is kind of just what that means. Parents love it when you talk to the kids. It's very simple. If you are a little apprehensive about talking to the parent, the kids, go after the kids. Are you having fun today? What's your favorite ride? If they're on the spider climb and they're having a hard time, give them some encouragement, tips on how to, navigate that a little bit better. And then don't say, I don't know. Say, let me find out for you. So there's nothing worse. I'm sure you guys have been to other places that you ask a question and the guest or the employee just says, I don't know, shrugs their shoulders, and that's kind of the end of it. That's not the best guest experience. It's okay if you don't know something, but we do need to go that extra distance to make sure that we're finding the answer out for the guest. So don't just leave it as I don't know. Say, not sure, but let me find out for you, and actually follow through on that. Be helpful and be informed. A lot of this is really kind of, you think it's common sense, but not always. So know the basics. So like what Becca was talking about of what we have, what we offer, hours of operation, what time do we close today? Having an understanding of the basics of what we offer, you can better help the guest kind of navigate their visit and their experience. Stay updated. Brantley was talking about the lightning policy. That's a huge thing, especially when we're on a weather hold. Guests want to know what's going on. They will ask. And having a better understanding of what's going on, what the policy is, can help inform the guests. The better informed that they are, the better experience that they have. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about some of this stuff. Events. Kelly talked about some fun parties that are going to be happening. A lot of times the guests that are showing up for the Mountain Adventure Park have no idea that that's even going on. So sharing that extra tip of, today there's a party over at the Fairbank Lodge at such and such a time. That's an extra step to add to their overall experience. Speak clearly and confidently, especially when you're giving directions. You are the expert. So when guests are asking, how do I get to the bathroom? How do I do this? How do I do that? You do want to speak clear and confidently so they understand and the communication is clear. And then read the need. Pay attention to nonverbal cues. Offer help before it's asked. If a guest looks lost or like they're looking for something, ask, is there something that I can help you find? Chances are they're probably looking for a bathroom. They're not sure how to get to the scenic chairlift, stuff like that. Pay attention to their nonverbal cues and kind of get ahead of it before it needs to be asked. Safety is an important component. You wouldn't necessarily think so, talking about guest service, but it is a very important component to that. The better we do here, the more the guest feels secure. And it's not just, making sure that we're reducing injuries and nobody gets hurt. That's incredibly important. But consistency with safety adds to the overall guest experience and consistency that they feel secure. So, kind of tips for the safety. So safety plus environment equals the guest trust. So be alert. I kind of already mentioned this already, and Brantley mentioned this but be aware of your surroundings, report hazards, unsafe behavior, both with employees and guests, and broken equipment. Same consistent This one is a very big one. So you want to be consistent, especially with the Mountain Adventure Park, with the rides, restrictions and whatnot. We want to make sure we're being consistent every single time across all attractions. We do get complaints if they go to one particular attraction, say the inflatable obstacle course, and it's 36 inches. You have to be 36 inches to go on that. They're not quite 36, but we let them on anyway. The other inflatable is also 36, but that person's paying attention. And they're measuring and they're not letting them go because they're not quite 36. You would think that the first one is like, I'll bend the rules a little bit, I'll let them on, but that's actually gonna create a problem down the road because we're not being consistent. So with safety, it's incredibly important that we're being consistent. We're checking the heights and we're checking the requirements. Tidiness, keep your workstation clean, pick up litter. It all matters because if you have a clean workstation, we're more professional looking, and it kind of gives that sense of overall security for the guests that everything's tidy, clean. I'm sure you guys have been to restaurants and whatnot that not necessarily on the tidier side. You don't really feel secure in that particular situation. And then be a role model. So we have to model the behavior that we're asking of the guests. So this is, you probably, especially if you've been through orientations with us before, you've heard of the LAST method. This is a slight different variation of it, but basically means the same. So if all else fails, how can you potentially recover a situation? So you always want to kind of think of this when you're dealing with a particular situation is H, hear them out. A lot of times they just want to be heard. They just want to, if they had an issue, it could have been a minor issue, they just want somebody to be aware. So just the first one is to hear them out and listen. Second one is empathize. I understand how that can be frustrating, is an example of a term that could be used when you're empathizing. They're here to have fun, they're here with their family. Any slight inconvenience can throw a wrench into that. And it's important to keep that in mind when you're dealing with potential situations, that put yourself in their shoes. Understand that this is frustrating for them. For us, might seem like a minor inconvenience, but for them, it potentially is gonna ruin their whole day. So empathize with them. I understand how that can make you feel. Apologize for the inconvenience. You want to be careful with this one, especially when you're dealing with injuries. We never really want to apologize or admit that, we caused an injury or whatnot, or something broke or something like that, but apologize for the inconvenience. I'm sorry this put a wrench into your day, kind of situation. Resolve or call a supervisor. If it's a minor thing, chances are you can probably resolve it yourself. If not, call your supervisor. You never want to leave anything unresolved because that's going to impact the guests further in having a negative effect on their overall experience. And then thank them for their patience and thank them for the feedback. We do truly believe, we very much appreciate guest feedback, even the negative stuff, because we very much believe that we can't fix something and we can't grow and do better if we don't know about the issues that are happening. So we truly believe that. So thank them for bringing, so distracted by the music now. But thank them for the feedback and thank them for bringing it to our attention. When in doubt, do the right thing. We're all human. We want to be human. We always want to do the right thing. So when in doubt, just kind of think what's the right thing to do for the guests in this situation, as long as it doesn't impact safety and throw a wrench into the overall operation. Do the right thing. And it's just kind of just be human and think, put yourself in their shoes. So when all else fails, just do the right thing. Like I said, we're going to do a deeper dive into this on Saturday with the Mountain Adventure Park. We did the same thing with tickets. For other departments, you will be covering this stuff in your department introductions with your manager. But yeah, thank you guys, and looking forward to a good summer. And Amy.
So if you ever want to look at any policy or procedure, the policy handbook or the employee handbook is located in your check writers, in your documents. So if you go to the Cranmore webpage and go to the bottom and click on employees, it'll take you to the check writers. You can log in. And then on the left-hand side, you would pick your documents and the handbook is right in there. I'm sure most of you have already met, but I know there are some Sodexo employees here that may not have. Employee Services is myself as the HR director, Valerie Doobie is the HR coordinator, and Caitlin, who helped check you in, is the HR assistant. You will go to see them for a multitude of things that you might need at the downtown location, which everyone says it's the Stan and Dan Plaza, but the sign is right on the side of the building and you can find it. In there you can get new name tags, you can get your perks and privileges, which I will cover towards the end. They administer those to you, such as your comp tickets, the White Mountain Attractions booklet that you can get, and you can come in and see me for any issues or concerns you have, or if you have a general question, you can contact us at hr@cranmore.com. Payroll for the Cranmore employees is on Friday. Paychecks are brought to the mountain. You would see your supervisor for them. We highly recommend that people sign up for direct deposit because it's in your account on Friday morning and you don't have to do any legwork. And then after so much time, we will take the paychecks back to the office if you don't pick them up, so you may have to come see us to get them. And we do highly encourage you to cash your paychecks. It's a lengthy process that we have to go through to get you reissued a check if you haven't cashed it and it has gone stale. So we highly encourage you to get, your checks cashed. I know I do this to get paid. Not that I don't love all of you, but I like my paycheck. As Brantley was showing the poster earlier, for the map earlier for the rally points, the employee parking is in lot 4, which is kind of directly across from the footbridge in the main parking lot. For people that might work on the north side of the mountain. If you are in the Mountain Adventure Park, you would be behind the hotel. We do have a referral program in place for employees. So if you know someone that is looking for a job and you get them to come to Cranmore, you just have to fill out a referral form ahead of time and encourage them to put your name on their application. If they do so, and after 30 days you're both still in good standings, you can pick a multitude of different options, such as $100 into your paycheck, an Apple gift card, an Amazon gift card, Valley Originals gift cards, just as a thank you for helping us bring on good staff. And then these are the policies and procedures. And I know that we're in a hurry to get out to go to work or go enjoy our day, but these are very important. This is what our team spends a lot of time making sure that these things are being enforced. And as Tricia mentioned earlier, that we are consistent. We want to make sure that there's a consistency across all of our policies and procedures. So the biggest thing is, as an employee, we really want you to follow the policies and procedures, act with integrity, and exceed the service standards by those little points that she talked about, greeting the guest, making sure you're not on the phone. But there are some times where if your behavior is interrupting business, we may have to go to corrective action to make sure you're aware that there's an issue, that you are being re-educated on how you can better adhere to these policies and procedures. So there are a whole list of things that could be considered a policy violation. And then we have some that are zero tolerance. So even if it's a first offense for it, unfortunately, it could promote you to guest, which is essentially a termination. Violation of the cell phone policy, if you are in a safety-related role, such as running a ride or a lift or something like that, and you are caught on your cell phone, that could be an immediate dismissal, because that is a zero tolerance policy. You will see some of our managers and supervisors that may be on their cell phones throughout the day, and they may be dealing with something that is business related that cannot be relayed over a radio. So please be aware that they should be out of the view of the guests, but sometimes that's not something that they're able to do. As I said, your department introductions will address tardiness, absenteeism, how to call in, what's the best way to get a hold of your manager. If there are any threats of violence or harassment and bullying, as Brantley was talking about earlier, that is another zero tolerance policy. So even though you may think something is funny, you might, have a joke, or you see something online or something and you share it with someone. If they are offended by it, that can be construed as harassment or bullying. So if you kind of second guess yourself of, should I be saying this or should I be showing them this, just don't do it, because that is something that we take very seriously here. If you are being harassed or you're being bullied by someone or you witness it, please bring it to your supervisor's attention or to my attention, and we will thoroughly investigate that. Our corrective action policy goes in multiple steps, but we can skip those steps, as I said, if it is a violation of a zero tolerance policy. So the first one would be your supervisor is going to sit down and talk to you and explain to you that there's been a violation, and then they're going to re-educate you on the best way to go about not having that happen again in the future. Then there's a first warning. That is a written warning that will go into your employee file. They'll go over it with you, have you sign it, and then it basically puts you on warning that there should be no more of this behavior. Final warning is that final step before dismissal, and that would most likely be your supervisor and myself. Dismissal would be your supervisor and myself, definitely. And we don't want to have to dismiss anyone, so that's why we really say just follow the rules. As I said, harassment and bullying is a zero tolerance policy. I know that there's been a lot of talk about this in our world as it is now, and kids getting cyberbullied and stuff like that. We want everyone to have a safe and fun time working at Cranmore. So let's just make sure that we're being aware of our behavior, the things that we're saying, and make sure that you, as well as your coworkers, are feeling welcome here. The drug and alcohol policy. You should not be drinking or doing drugs while you're at work or before you come to work. I know that some of the areas around us do have legalized marijuana, but at Cranmore, it is not legal, and our Cranmore policy is that we have a zero tolerance for it. You cannot have smoked at home and come to work and then say, oh, well, it's legal where I live. That's not how it works. Also, with drugs and alcohol, if there's a reasonable suspicion that you have been drinking, or you're drinking on the job, or you're under the influence of some type of substance, we can request that you do a drug and alcohol screening. That's also if you cause any damage. So if you cause more than $250 worth of damage, then we can ask you to submit to that as well. But we definitely need to have a reasonable suspicion that you are, and it can't just be a random drug test. If you are on some type of prescription drug, you should definitely report that to your supervisor, because if it is something that your doctor prescribed and it's going to cause you, how you hear some of the precautions are like don't drive machinery, you shouldn't be doing anything that's in a safety-related role. If you are a ride operator, or you are driving a vehicle, or you're using cutlery in the kitchen or something, if you think this is going to impair your ability to do your job safely, pull your supervisor aside and talk to them so that they can make arrangements to keep you safe and everybody else until you are able to get back into your normal role. So you can see some of our lovely employees up here wearing their uniform. So I know everybody hates uniforms. They're like, oh, I have to wear a uniform. My husband worked here at Cranmore, and he would always complain about the uniform, and he's the HR director's worst nightmare. So we're really calling out uniforms this year because we've just noticed that it's kind of gotten a little lax. And it just makes us look neater. It makes us look more polished. It calls out who the employees are. So if a guest is wandering around, they can clearly identify, I need something, there's an employee. So your uniform should be khaki pants, shorts, or skirts. Shorts should be able to go past your fingertips. Your uniform shirts should be clean, name tags worn at all time. If you want to wear something under your uniform, say it's a cooler day, it should be a white or black long sleeve shirt. Hats, you can have a Cranmore logo, a New England sports team. It cannot be any competing resort. So you shouldn't be coming to work wearing an Attitash hat. You should be coming to work neatly groomed, so hair brushed. You know, sometimes you might be running late, but just make sure you take those extra steps to make yourself presentable. Beards neat and trim. And when we say body odor, we're not necessarily talking about somebody who hasn't showered in a while. This can be someone that has on really strong smelling perfume or cologne. People can have really strong sensitivities to scents and aromas, so just be aware of that. I know in the wintertime you're all outside, so it's not such a big deal, but just be conscious of that. You shouldn't have any facial piercings that are attached, like no ears to your lip or your nose and stuff, because that is a safety hazard, and we will have to request that you take it out. Just because if you're running a ride or you're helping kids and stuff and it got caught on something, it could cause yourself injury. And we highly recommend you wear reasonable footwear, closed-toed, something that's comfortable, because you are most likely going to be on your feet most of the day. And then, as we said, summer, bee stings, bug bites, wear sunscreen, bug spray, sunblock, all of that, so that you know you're not coming to work after a day outside and you're in pain because you got a sunburn. Smoking policy, you should not be smoking in your uniform, and you should not be smoking in the view of the guests. So if you are a smoker and you are planning on going out at your break to have a cigarette, you should be out of the view of the guests, and you should not have your uniform on. Bring a separate shirt if you need to change into. We really don't want that to be something that we have to contend with. And then cell phones. This is a big one. Everyone's attached to their cell phones nowadays. I'm guilty of it too. But I don't know if you've ever walked into a place and you needed assistance and the person is got their head down looking at their cell phone and completely disengaged from what they're doing. We don't want that at Cranmore. So if you're sitting at a ride, and even if there aren't people at the ride right then and there, you should have your head up, paying attention to what's going on for safety reasons and for that guest service level. If you need to use your phone because your mom has has told you that there's a chance there's an emergency or something like that, notify your supervisor. They will assist you with stepping away from your spot so that you can take that call. This also includes like earbuds. You should not have earbuds in when you are out. Even if you don't have your cell phone out, you should have nothing in your ears. You should be paying attention to what's going on while you're at work. Communications. So say we had an event that happened at the mountain that the news might have picked up on. They're coming to the mountain. They're coming up to you and they're asking, hey, do you want to comment on what happened? I have no comment, and direct them to Becca or Ben. Those are the only two people that are authorized to speak on Cranmore's behalf. And don't be posting anything on, your social media or stuff about anything that's happened at the mountain in regard to an event. That's just not acceptable. So perks and privileges, these are the fun things. So we have 3 sites that you can sign into. Tickets at work, which you can get concert tickets, amusement park tickets, stuff like that at a discount. We have Expert Voice and Outdoorly, which are both outdoor, like camping, hiking, skiing, biking equipment type stuff, where you can get up to sometimes 60% off of these items. So we highly recommend that you sign up for these and check out what you can get. I know that a bunch of those people have gotten Smith sunglasses and goggles and stuff like that. So they're worth checking out. As you came in and as you leave, there are some of these sheets out there. I had one here to show you, but They're on the table right where you checked in. This lists off all the employee perks and privileges for you for this year. It breaks down what you can do for like the bike park. It has, you get 8 comp tickets if you're full-time, 6 if you're part-time. So take a look at that. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to HR. We can answer the questions or get them for you. We do have a reciprocal program in place for the summertime like we do in the winter for skiing. These are the 4 bike parks that will extend reciprocal privileges to our staff. You need to come see employee services. We would give you a letter that states you're an active, in good standing employee. You would take that with you to the mountain along with a photo ID. And most, 3 of them are complimentary tickets, and then Highlands is a 50% off day pass.